Hi, I'm Ali Reeve and welcome to one of our tutorial videos. I'm going to show you how to make this lovely card using some of the products from our website www.clevercut.co.uk, and if you want to see what's coming up in future videos, check out our social media on Facebook. Okay, shall we get started? So today we're going to make a very simple easel card. It is officially a twisted easel because as it stands up it comes off at an angle, giving you this nice, attractive, impactful focal point. And we're going to be using our Christmas stamps. It's the most wonderful time of the year. We've also got some interesting masks and stencils going on in the background here to create this band of colour. So this is a twist on what was traditionally called spotlight stamping, but this is a nice easy twist. So to make your twisted easel, you need to start with a square card blank, okay? Any size square that you're comfortable working with, because you can scale this up and scale it down quite easily. And then all you're going to do is on the front, you're going to lift it up and you're going to fold the bottom right hand corner up to the top inside corner there. Fold it down nicely, and that gives you the basis of your actual easel, and that is as easy as it comes. So as long as you've got square card blanks, you can make twisted easel cards, and it just elevates your card from a flat card to something a little bit more interesting. Okay, so pop that to one side, and then I've got some pieces of card which are actually going to be stamped on. I've got a square one that is the right size to fit my main stamp. Notice I'm not giving you any specific sizes because this is whatever card you've got to use. I've then got an offcut of card, and it's actually what I used when I squared off my card blank. Okay, and we're going to work with this scrap first. As long as it is taller than the piece of card you're starting with, it's absolutely fine. Okay, and I've got two distress inks. I've got Evergreen Bough and Forest Moss. Okay, so all I'm going to do now, instead of inking straight onto my cutting mat and wasting all that ink, I'm going to bring in my pad that I work on. Okay, and then what happens is I get these lovely bits of paper like this which get cut up later and used to collage. So I'm just inking round. Okay, I'm not overly thinking about it, just getting some of these lovely colours down. Okay, a bit of Forest Moss in there. I do like these two colours together. Okay, I'm not going too heavy with the ink because we're going to build it up in a minute. So I'm just hopping between the two. Now obviously there is a danger of contamination, but I'm not smearing it all over the place with that, so I'm quite careful. And they are sort of on a similar palette anyway. It's not like I'm putting black in there. So once I've got a bit of ink on there, I'm going to come in with one of my masks. This is circuit board. Now, although it is circuit board, I think it has a slight Christmassy feel to it because it's like those 1950s starbursts, and the dots is quite sort of snowy and everything. And then I'm also going to come in with another one, just a little lighter, just anything that's just going to break up, and try not to wobble the camera. Okay, so that's broken that white up nicely, so I'll finish with them for now. So I'm going to be good and put the lid on. Next I'm going to bring in one of my background stamps. This actually is the words to "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." But it's so small and in a handwritten style that actually it's not overly readable if you don't want it to be. So it's really good for creating backgrounds. So I've just inked it up with a bit of VersaFine Clair in Pinecone, and then randomly stamping. And notice I did first, second generation so that you get a more faded look. Okay, and that is my central panel done. While I'm at it and I've got my inks and my sponges out, I'm going to come in with a piece of card that is noticeably bigger. This is going to be one of my mats for my topper. And while I've got all the inks and the stamps out, I'm going to ink around, trying not to wobble the camera. Okay, inking round, again keeping that same colour scheme. So basically I'm doing exactly the same thing, but I'm only worried about the edges here. Okay, really concentrating on the edges because I want a sort of a quite a dark edge there. And again, come in with the mask. Notice I'm not necessarily always dipping into the ink pad. I just want to break up that white. And by making my own patterned paper, so to speak, for the background here, I know it's all going to tone. I'm not going to have that running around trying to find a piece that mats and layers perfectly. I know it's going to because I've used the same ink pads. Okay, and again, just using that bit of, you see, by having this piece underneath that I'm over stamping, it just is saving all that ink. I'm not wasting any, I'm not wiping it away, and they get used on something which I call waste not want nots, which I will show one day. Right, so I've got a piece, I've got that, okay, looking good. Now let's work on the main topper. So I'm just going to take my stamp off and I'm going to swap for It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year. Okay, it's a beautiful big bold stamp, and I'm now going to take my VersaFine Claire, but this time in that lovely twilight, so that's that really dark navy blue. So I know that's going to stand out from those green tones I've used. Okay, and now if you're not a confident stamper, obviously stamping platforms are great, but also don't cut your card down to begin with, because then you're adding extra pressure on yourself to get it right in the middle. So obviously, because I'm leaning over, but don't panic, turn it over. Okay, and I could edit that out, but that's reality. Reality is that sometimes things don't work perfectly the first time. So lean over. I obviously didn't put enough pressure in the middle there. So, and also because I'm trying to have it so the camera can see what I'm doing, I am leaning over more. Normally when I stamp, I would have it closer to me and have my shoulders over so that my body weight is pressing down. And there's a fair bit of that. There we go. But also, just to let you know, that one would be usable, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And this is why this technique is really, really good, because it's really handy if you do have a habit of missing the middle of your stamp. Okay, because what we're going to do is we're now going to stamp this in the middle of our decorative piece we've created. So this time I'm concentrating on that middle. So psychologically, I'm focusing on that because that's where I'm aiming for. When you're doing a large stamp like this, it's very easy just to concentrate on the edge, but I know I need it there. So your brain automatically helps you press down there. Okay. So you've got that. Again, not wasting any. We'll leave that. Okay. So what we want to do now is this panel of colour. See, this panel of colour is going to cover up. So if you have got one where you've missed the middle, do this technique and you're not wasting one side of your card. Okay, so what I need to do now is I want to have it so that when I'm tearing it, the white edge is underneath or on the piece I'm tearing away. So when you're tearing, if you tear towards yourself, you see the white edge is by that thumb. I don't want that. I want it to be, I want the colour just to run straight off. So I'm going to push away. So push away from yourself, and you see how the white edge is on the piece I'm tearing away, and I'm getting a straight coloured edge there. Keep that bit. So doing the same, so I've turned it round, again tearing away from myself. Okay, no need to rush when you're tearing. Okay, then we're going to bring that, what we're going to do is we're going to line that up and glue it on. So for this you want to use a wet glue, okay, because if you use a wet glue it means you have some wiggle time. So pick one thing that's going to help you line up. These straight lines at the top are really good. Okay, once you're happy that it's lined up, press it down, give it a second to grab. So you see we could have easily hidden that. Snip off. So all I'm doing is just snipping along the edge there. So you've got your lovely little panel with that focal colour going down there. Right, so now it's time to start matting and layering it up. Now we could put it straight onto the one we inked, but I think it needs a little bit of a barrier, so I've done a white layer as well. So again, bit of glue around onto the white layer, and quite often it's not until you mat and layer things that things really start to pop. So my tip to anybody when they're crafting is, if they're not happy with something, go one step further. Okay, so we've got it like that. Now I have also cut a blue layer like I had on this one, and it's up to you whether you put the blue on. I've chosen to have a blue layer there to give it a nice contrast against the white card I'm going to put it on, but also my stamping is in blue, so by using blue it does help connect the two. Obviously green has blue in it, so there is always that connection anyway. Now when it comes to doing the gluing onto your card blank, let me just glue it onto that mat so that it's all together like that. Now obviously we don't want to glue it all the way round because we want it to be able to stand up, so we need to just do glue in a triangle across there. Okay, press it down, put a little bit of weight on it for a minute, and then in order for the card to stand proud we need to have something inside that the actual easel can hook onto. Now on this one I've used a little happy Christmas greeting, but notice I've added these little bands of colour on the inside, and these are actually the pieces we tore off from there, so we're not wasting anything. But you could have them going at an angle. I just decided to have them going across there just because they look really nice. They're like almost like a faux ribbon. So again, bit of glue, put it across, take the other one, and then I just space them out a little bit. Oh, do apologise. Okay, across we go like that. So that's given us a little bit of decorative. It's tying them all together, and then we just want to add a little greeting. Now I could stamp the greeting onto there if I wanted to. I might square it off though, and then I'm just going to find a greeting that's going to fit on there. So I have got a set of greeting stamps here, and I think there's a little best wishes which will fit on there, a treat. And notice, you can plan things, you can lay stamps on, you don't have to just stamp it to be able to see if it's going to fit. And then I'm going to come in with the blue again. So make sure it's on a flat surface, reach round. Well, you don't have to reach round, you won't have a camera in the way. All right, little best wishes. I think that wants a little bit of white as well behind it. Let's have a look, because it's getting a little bit lost in there. So sometimes you can evolve things as you're doing them. You don't have to always be perfectly planned with everything. Sometimes it just doesn't come out how you want, you know, how you're thinking it's going to be in your head. So lay things out. Don't glue until you're 100% happy, or use a wet glue so that you've got wiggle time. Now, in order for the easel to actually rest against this, you do need to raise it up with a little bit of foam pad. Now, I confess, don't use foam pads very often. Went to get my roll of foam tape and the adhesive had dried on it. Rather than throw it away, I'll just add some more glue to it. Put some double-sided tape on it. Just means that it's not going to grab straight away. It's going to need a couple of minutes for the glue to grab, so that will act as your little stop. But there you go, one very simple twisted easel card where you've created the fabulous focal point there with a spotlight of colour, and everything's toned together, and you've wasted very little of your card. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back later.